everybody, Dom Nicastro, managing editor of CMSWire, here with our latest CMO Circle. This is a special CMO because there's a little different tweak on the title than we're used to. From Chief Marketing Officer to Chief Market Officer, it's Jennifer Griffin Smith of Acquia. How we doing, Jennifer?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you. And let's start right there. I gotta get that. I gotta get that answer. Why no love for the ing in marketing? You just took it off, you swiped it away. Chief Market Officer. What's the difference in that title?
Yeah, it really gets down to customer need, market impact. So rather than focusing on the ing of marketing, the doing as we generally have got used to over the years, it's more focused on the market and the customer impact. And all of the tactics that we have to run are very important, but those tactics are meaningless unless we're really focused on who are we serving, what value are we bringing to them, what's the rest of the market doing. And I'm a big believer, and so is Acquia, which is why it was a match made in heaven, that, you know, go-to-market is a full team sport made up of many different teams. Marketing is part of that, but ultimately it's about how we go to market together, right? And so I think it's just a broader approach and trying to get away from, even in the mindset of teams, that we have to keep executing activities. That's not the measure of how we can really serve our customers better.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things when I saw it, you're like, huh, that kind of makes sense. Like, let's just do that, you know, for all these marketing roles, because, you know, you're not the chief of the marketing team, like, you know, you're like the market chief, right? You're looking at the big picture of what's going on outside of Acquia and how can Acquia get in and help that market and help those customers and prospects.
Yeah. And it's connecting these different teams. One of the reasons I love doing this role is that I don't really care where things report into. A marketing leader and a marketing team needs to connect innovation with all the go-to-market teams. And it's not about, like I always say to teams, marketing isn't a department. It's not about what we do. It's about how we facilitate bringing innovation to market through all of those different teams and serving customers. And so we're kind of that connection point, which is fun.
Very much so. Same in our organization. You know, the marketing leaders are always like, they're in every meeting, like every meeting. I'll have an interview with an intern. They'll just pop in, you know, but not really.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
You know, but the point is, they're just there. They need to be there. You know, I've had conversations where I'm like, you know, it's a great idea. I got to check with our marketing leaders on that one to see if they think it's a good idea. So let's explore more, right?
Yeah, there you go.
But your trajectory, your career trajectory is pretty much, I'm getting a sense that it's mostly like B2B software, right? For the most part. I mean, you've been marketing leader at a bunch of, you know, leading companies in like the B2B software space. So you have a lot of experience in that arena.
I do. Don't ask me how I got into it, because it wasn't a plan. I actually studied languages at university. Obviously, you can tell by my accent. I am an original Bostonian, if you like. So I herald from the UK, and I studied languages and did marketing as part of my degree, but didn't really have a plan to go into marketing. And when you come out of university, you're basically just looking for the job to pay the rent, right? And I fell into tech. I mean, I hadn't, and here I am. I'm not going to say how many years later, but yes, and you know, just been through all those different mergers and acquisitions and had the opportunity, different companies, but it's always been B2B, and it's always been in tech.
Yeah. How would you compare the role of a 2003 chief marketing officer or market officer with a 2023 CMO? What's the big difference there?
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, digital is the one major difference. So if I think back to early in my career and the challenges that happened then, they were more around the classic brand side. Like, oh, you've got to grow your brand. What are we going to do? Are we going to do the Formula One racing car advertising? Are we going to remember the SAP billboard advertising? Like, everybody wanted to be like that. And I did work for Microsoft for a while, and I worked for a couple of big companies, and budgets were huge, and it was things like, it was a lot of print, like a lot of direct mail, a lot of print, a lot of advertising, a lot of newspapers, and we've come so far from that. Although I do see print coming back in a little bit more, because we're so overwhelmed with digital. But right now, it is, if you think about the way we've changed as humans, like, I could answer that question by saying, how do you buy any item today versus how you bought it 20 years ago, right? Yeah. You wouldn't dream of using an app to buy a car 20 years ago, right? You wouldn't dream of doing a virtual college tour or having a virtual doctor's appointment 20 years ago. And so we're all used to this different way of life, and the way we buy and engage with our business audiences too is exactly the same. Now, that's hard because everybody's working in this digital landscape. So I actually feel like marketing is harder than ever, right? Because especially when we went through, we couldn't be face to face, and it's difficult to break through this real digital noise that's there for our customers. But I would say digital is the biggest change.
Yeah, and you're at a company that's right in the thick of digital, right? You're trying to, convince people that, my company is the team that's going to get you the ability to create those great digital experiences. So, where does Acquia kind of fit into those changing buying habits, those changing digital experiences? Where does Acquia think it sits in the market in terms of being able to distinguish itself? Because that's a huge part of your job.
Yeah. So we're very lucky that we have a very flexible open platform, but it has multiple solution possibilities on top of that. We're known ultimately for Drupal, for being the open source Drupal CMS. But there's much more that is available now. I would say we focus on digital experiences as it relates to the integration of data and content to be served to the right audiences. So I'll give you an example of what I mean about that. It's okay to say you're going to create a new website, right? You could use any digital agency, you could use any CMS. But why are you building a website? Who are you hoping to get there? When you get them there, what are you doing next? What do you want to know about them? Like, now we're in the realm of, we have so much MarTech, and we have so many great pieces of technology that can help us reach out, but they've got to be connected, and the data's got to be able to flow through. So we look at, it's not just about getting somebody to land somewhere. You've got to have the right content for wherever they are in their journey. You've got to understand their journey, the data that has come before them, and where you're going to predict they're going to go, right? Yeah. And so bringing all that together, but also being able to create collaboration across different teams to make it work. Most of our customers, the biggest challenge that comes in large organizations specifically is the silos that happens between those different departments. And even within marketing, you think about marketing, you have communications, and you have digital campaigns, and you have events campaigns, and there's all these different bits. How do you even connect all the content across one team, let alone multiple divisions or IT and marketing, and how they work together? So that collaboration is really key.
Yeah. And what I always thought was cool of marketing leaders at sort of marketing technology companies, you have to walk the walk, right?
Which is why I love it.
Right.
Why I love it.
You're using your own tools, and at conferences that you attend, that you host, you're meeting with just your customers are you. You're selling to CMOs, chief marketing officers, or market, whatever you want to call them. What's that like? I always found that fascinating. When I go to conferences with marketers, they're the most like, they always want to talk to each other. They're always like, getting along and exchanging challenges and success stories. What's that like to just be in kind of like a marketing community? Because marketers seem to do a good job at like building communities.
Yeah, it's really great because my MO also is we're all here to help each other too. And there are many different vendors in the marketplace that you can work with. what I love about Acquia is we have this giant ecosystem. So we don't profess that we can do everything, but we do integrate and we openly work with a bunch of other technology vendors that brings total value to the customer. It's great when you've sat in the seat of a customer. Now, we have a lot of B2C customers. We have a lot of retail customers. Like, I haven't necessarily sat in all the seats, but you still get the idea of what they're being driven to do, what they're trying to do, regardless of their industry. And so it's actually fun, because I always say to our product teams, like, I'm their worst nightmare, because I'm customer zero. Yeah. My team have to make everything work so that we can show customers what best in class looks like. Which means we're always asking for, we want this integration, and by the way, we're not paying for it because we're all internal, right? But we do want to be able to drink our own champagne and be the best use case.
Yeah. And, in line with this conversation about digital and marketing and having all these analytics available, content and data informs the content. What are some of those top level metrics that you care about in your position to measure Acquia's go-to-market success, to measure the success of their products and tools for Acquia? What are the KPIs that you're constantly, kind of keep you up at night? You maybe can't sleep, you go check what the data is telling you. What's that metric that keeps you up?
Well, I don't think there's one, there's many, and they actually span, I would say, what you would think of as classic marketing KPIs, sales KPIs, and customer success KPIs, right? Mm-hmm. So if you start at the top of the funnel, of course, we're looking at engagement rate of campaigns, right? That might be social media engagement. It might be website traffic. It might be campaign success factors, right? Like, what does it mean? What does this event success look like? But then that rolls through into more of conversion, right? Where it then rolls into sales, which is, it's not about one individual, it's about a company, because I think the model has changed. If that whole, the lead is dead, like, you doing one download does not make you an opportunity, right? Because you're in a world of self-educating. What we look at is, and we look at a lot of intent signals, right, of customers that may never raise their hand, but when you see multiple people from one account searching on specific content, you can inform yourselves. And then we pass that to our sellers. That's really key data. But then you want to be able to look at, well, how are they then responding to that? Like, I look a lot at win-loss analysis, because what is the customer needs? What are the customers saying? Then we look at things like NPS and retention rates and community feedback, right? We look at things like community scores on our on those sites where you can get peer-to-peer scores. So there isn't one, there's actually many across that entire process. I'm interested in influencing, making them convert to a decision, and then retaining and growing, right, across that entire spectrum.
Yeah. And what about the KPI of the Drupal cupcakes? Do you guys measure how many customers eat the cupcakes at your I've always, there's great pictures.
What we do is we measure the size. Have you ever seen that photo of everybody at DrupalCon where they're with the big drop?
I think so. Yep.
I think it's the most people in any photo you've ever seen. So that's our goal.
Exactly. Actually, speaking of Drupal, what's it like to work with Dries? Dries Bijtaert. Did I pronounce his last name correctly? Bijtaert?
I don't know. Don't ask me that.
Okay, I won't.
Sure. Dries.
But with Dries, Dries, I've ran into him because I'm in the Boston area and he's there, at conferences, and the kind of respect that he commands, when he walks into those tech conferences is pretty phenomenal. What's it like to work with like the creator of the software that kind of integrates and is kind of like the bedrock of Acquia?
He's fantastic. And he's actually the second founder, creator, owner in a business that I've worked with. First of all, I find it it's inspiring, because look what he's done, right? So kudos to him that he first of all even invented it and created it, right? I feel that, all respect. But then with Dries, it's a very collaborative approach. I love working with him because we have great open brainstorms. I think he's very open to my view as the marketeer, but what I don't have is his view as the developer. And so together, it's actually a really interesting combination. We're actually going to do a keynote at our next Engage event on November 14th in Boston, and we're going to do it together from that perspective of we have to, like, developers and marketeers have to work together, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really fun. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's going to be, so now he's not going to make you code or anything, is he, on stage to prove?
I hope the heck not. No,
Okay.
no, we won't make you code.
Yeah. Or you'll make him run a marketing meeting or something like that. You have a trade-off there.
He's probably got more success at doing that than I have in writing code.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, hey, finally, by the way, this has been awesome catch up. Appreciate you joining us on CMSWire. What's the long-term vision now? Like, you know, what are your 2024 thoughts when it comes to Acquia's marketing, customer engagement strategy? I mean, this is a tough market. I mean, you guys play in the space of a lot of vendors doing the same thing. They're they're producing digital experience platforms, CDPs. You know, it's very noisy out there. You know, what's the big vision now, you know, for next year and beyond?
Yeah. There's 2 or 3 things that we do differently that you'll see us talk more about that I'm actually feel really passionate about. So one is we have an open digital experience platform, open because we were born from open source, but open in the way we interoperate with our partners. And so we have something called the Acquia Exchange, and we're going to be working more and more on co-innovating with our partners. That's really exciting. That's what we mean by kind of open in every way. The other thing that I find really interesting is building accessible digital experiences. And if you asked any marketeer, I pretty much bet that 80% of them do not think about accessibility and inclusion until they're much further down the line. And one of the things that I've come to recognize with a lot of our clients is we have to serve every community. And somebody told me like 20% of website visitors have some kind of disability. And that's just websites. Wow. If you're not building for inclusion, we work a lot with the beauty industry. I was at an event last week. If you think about non-traditional face formation with digital, now buying beauty products digitally, you have to be able to serve so many audiences. So we really pride ourselves on, and we've got a lot of innovation that's happened and that we're working on when it comes to building accessible sites. The other thing that Dries talks about that is near and dear to my heart too, just as a mother of 2 young children, is we got to build a safe future for the web. And as technologists, it is our responsibility to make sure we don't build in bias and that we are creating safety for all users of our technology. Dries has this saying, which I love, which is, I have to feel it's safe enough for my kids, like it's protecting my kids. And that's what we saw. You know, when you think about that, for us, it's our openness, it's accessibility and inclusivity and building a safe future. And that, I think, is what is going to help people kind of step that digital experiences forward.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that you're part of a company that's, you know, at the forefront of that. Like you're actually doing something that's going to help the next generation, because let's face it, they are very influenced by the web and the internet and social. Where someone like me, I'm 45 years old, I can distinguish that world. I can say, okay, whatever. I'm not going to buy it, right? If it's trying to lead me towards a bias state, I'm going to ignore it. But kids, they don't. I think the internet are their parents. More.
And it's fascinating. I saw that we had a great speaker at DrupalCon earlier this year in Pittsburgh that talked about the bias built into search algorithms. And it was fascinating to me. And, you know, the message was, as innovators, make sure you're building for every community and make sure there isn't bias built in. And I just thought it was so fantastic in today's age and underrepresented that we should be serving that. So that's great because it makes you feel good about what you do, and we can help customers in all different industries be able to serve a much wider population.
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer Griffin-Smith, Acquia Chief Market Officer. I have to pause. I have to take a deep breath when I say that title, so I don't put the ing on it. But hey, thank you so much for the catch up with CMSWire. It's been amazing. We wish you nothing but the best of luck with the Engage coming up. That's November 14th, Boston.
November 14th and 15th at the Encore in Boston. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, right down the road. I'll see if I can pop in.
We'd love you too. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful to catch up. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye now.